What kind of lifestyle would you be living if you were the owner of a lucrative business that brought in over $500 billion in revenue every year? To put the absurdity of that number into perspective, this business outsells Walmart on an annual basis. Now, what if I told you this business was the Mexican drug cartel, and one of the biggest backbones behind this $500 billion operation is the trafficking of marijuana across the border and into the United States? And it's not hard to see why. According to CDC.com, the use of the plant has grown such a substantial amount around the world that it is now the most commonly used illegal drug in the United States, with approximately 22.2 million users each month. Over 94 million people in the US have admitted using marijuana at least once in their lifetime, and there are now more teenagers that smoke pot in areas where it is illegal than areas where it is legal. My name is Kazran, and from a young age, I got to experience firsthand how the use of marijuana can work as a double-edged sword. I watched my grandma fight stomach cancer for years and utilize marijuana in order to ease her pain, quell her nausea, and increase her appetite. And on the other hand, I've witnessed my uncle fall into marijuana addiction and see his life spiral out of control soon after that. Because of the impact, positive and negative, that marijuana had in my life and in the life of my family members, I chose to vigorously study this interesting drug from a young age. Today I'll be informing you on the physical and mental effects of marijuana so that you may decide how you wish to view this drug in the future. Today I'll be covering marijuana through 4 different categories: positive mental effects, positive physical effects, negative mental effects, and negative physical effects. I'd like to start this speech off with the positive mental effects of consistent marijuana use. Now, studies show that in the USA, 18% of adults have been diagnosed with some type of anxiety disorder. That's roughly 40 million people. Now, these disorders include generalized anxiety disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder or OCD, panic disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, social anxiety disorder, and although anxiety rates altogether have been rising over the years, so has the use of marijuana in order to treat that. According to studies done by the University of Washington, THC, the main ingredient found in cannabis that is responsible for the high, can raise anxiety levels at higher intake doses. However, it's believed that they can actually lower anxiety levels when taken at lower doses. And CBD, the second most prevalent cannabinoid found in cannabis, was found to reduce anxiety levels in all doses that have been tested, high or low. Now that we've discussed how marijuana has been linked to anxiety relief, let's move further into what kind of physical benefits cannabis can provide. Now, the most common use for medicinal marijuana is for pain control. Although weed won't move the needle for any significant kind of pain, the Harvard Health Blog states that the plant can be a very effective remedy when combating chronic pain, especially for older individuals. The university then states that marijuana appears to be useful in reducing inflammation, treating pain of multiple sclerosis, treating general nerve pain, lessening tremors and Parkinson's disease, and basically treating any disease that stimulates chronic pain. Now, these benefits are reasons why some of the most famous athletes of all time, all around the world, admit to consistently using marijuana in order to help their bodies physically recover from the wear and tear of their respective sports. Some of these athletes include Michael Phelps, Conor McGregor, Randy Moss, Calvin Johnson, and Allen Iverson. So far, we've discussed the many positive effects that responsible marijuana use can provide in mental and physical aspects of our lives, backed by the support of 2 highly respected national universities. However, there's a flip side to the coin, and this brings us to our negative mental effects. Although there are many benefits to utilizing marijuana as a plant-based medicine, research shows that there are also some negative health effects associated with the drug, both in the short term and the long term. Now, drugabuse.gov, also known as the National Institute of Drug Abuse, reports the following short-term side effects that have been associated with marijuana use: altered sense of time, impaired body movement, difficulty with thinking and problem solving, impaired memory, changes in mood, hallucinations, psychosis. Now, as far as long-term health risks are concerned, there's still a lot of research yet to be done on this topic. However, a study in New Zealand, conducted in part by researchers at Duke University, showed that people who started smoking marijuana heavily in their teenage years and had an ongoing marijuana use disorder lost delusions when taking in high doses, an average of 8 IQ points between the ages of 13 and 38. And the lost mental abilities didn't even fully return to those who quit marijuana as adults. However, those who started smoking marijuana as adults didn't show notable IQ declines. While it's clear long-term mental health is more at risk for consistent smokers who began smoking before the full development of their brains at age 25, the long-term mental risks linked to consistent marijuana consumption include altered brain development, attention disorders, cognitive impairment, feelings of less satisfaction or achievement. And studies have shown us that in addition to mental risks, there's also an added risk associated with physical health that has been linked to marijuana. And this now leads me to my fourth and final category, which is consistent marijuana consumption certainly carries long-term physical health risks. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention on cdc.gov, the list of long-term health risks potentially connected to the plant regardless of age include cancer, lung disease, heart disease, and addiction, but that can also be considered mental. So to conclude this speech, I have covered both the short and the long-term impacts that marijuana consumption can result in when it comes to positive mental effects, positive physical effects, negative mental effects, and negative physical effects. However, the only thing that's not yet confirmed when it comes to this topic is whether seaweed can get fish high.